Hello, it's Lisa coming from Photo Scraps doing another video today showing you some embossing and watercolors using distressed inks. So stay tuned, we're going to show you some fun things today. So we're going to use two stamp sets today. You can tell this one called Heartfelt Thanks by Penny Black. I've used it once or twice. You can tell it's been used and used and used, but I just love it. There's some great sentiments on here. And then the flower, which kind of looks like a hydrangea, is from the set from Penny Black called Blooming Garden. And then we're going to use 4 different distressed inks, and I'll show you those in a few minutes. But to get started, really, it's very simple. This card is made with just 3 separate pieces. The card base, I have cut the oval out using the MFT double-stitched oval circles, ovals, sorry, not circles, ovals, and then a piece of watercolor paper. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is emboss the flower image using silver embossing powder and a Versamark pad. And the embossing will be great because it'll actually help keep our watercolor in the lines and help keep things out of the lines from our background that we're trying to do. So we're going to just ink this up with Versamark. That's a clear ink pad that we sell, and it's really the best thing for all embossing. So that's just going to be clear. It's not going to show up much like this. And then we're going to put silver embossing powder, and it'll look a lot better now. So you just want to cover this with embossing powder. Always make sure you shake off the excess. Forgot a little bit at the top there. Okay, and then we're going to heat set this. You need a heat gun in order to do that. You cannot heat set with a blow dryer. People ask us that sometimes, but you really need the extreme heat of a heat gun. So let me heat set this. I'll be right back. So I went to emboss my image, and I did a boo-boo. The one on the right here, I actually over embossed it, and if you can tell, I kind of melted it too much and it went completely flat. So that's a no-no. You didn't. I mean, maybe I could have worked with this, but it looks much prettier this way. That's what you're going for. So you really can over emboss something, and plus this has a little scorch mark on it. Not what you're going for. Let's try this. So we are going to now work with our watercolors. And what we do is take a palette, which is this. It's a laminated piece, and we're going to simply squish on 4 different colors. We're going to start with Seedless Preserves and squish a little ink here. This will be what we work off of. The next color is Shaded Lilac. And again, it's just very imperfect. You're just squishing the ink on there. Then Victorian Velvet. And then last is Milled Lavender. These are all distressed inks by Tim Holtz. Okay? And I also have water and a paper towel nearby just in case I need that. I did have a paper towel. I don't know what happened to my paper towel. Okay. Okay, so whenever you're using distressed inks with watercolor, the first thing you want to do is always wet the entire image just with a water brush. I like these ones by Prima. So I'm just going to wet the surface here. And you don't want too much water, but just a little bit. So we're going to wet our whole surface. And let's look at our finished card. On the finished card, you can see the background is kind of the lightest color. And because I'm going to be coloring it with darker colors, I can actually wash the entire image even over top of my flower here with my lightest colors, which are these 2 at the bottom. And then I will add the darker colors on top and not ruin anything. Now, if these colors didn't go together, I would have to be careful and just paint in my background, but it's very easy to just do the whole wash. Okay, so let's start with these light colors. And you always want to make sure you have kind of a wet surface because I don't like the lines. I like it to look kind of airy and imperfect, so I don't want it to have any ink lines. When this dries, it will dry even lighter, so sometimes you'll have to do 2 or 3 coats of this. So you can see how light this is. Add a little bit of this color. But on the edges, I'm just making sure they're wet so that there's no distinct line there. So you're just going to kind of put this on. We're going to heat set this in just a moment, and it's probably going to be a little too light, and I'm going to add a second coat for my background before I go back, okay? Okay, so while you were gone, I worked on the background, and you could tell I have some nice splotchy kinds of effects. I think really that's what you're going for. It's imperfect. No 2 are ever going to look the same. You can see on my sample card, I have just kind of some whiter spots. It's just a very airy kind of look. So I worked on this. This was actually 3 small layers of the ink, so don't be afraid to put a layer. I did the heat gun, added a few more layers, a few more splotches until I got an effect that I really like. And it will dry a little bit lighter than when you put it on, so don't be afraid to keep adding a few layers. So now we're going to take care of our purple flowers. We have several shades of purple that are on here. So what we're going to do now is fill in the purple with several shades, and when you combine 2 of the purples, you're going to get even more shades in there. Okay? Now because we've embossed this, the embossing acts as an edge to keep the watercolor inside, which is really easy. So you can see you're not going to be perfect. You're just going to kind of apply the purple. I'm going to start with the lighter color. And having the embossing really allows it to kind of seep right up to the edge but not go over the edge. So we're going to fill this in, and then I'm going to add some of the darker purple. If you can only see Kim right now, she's sneaking by. She thinks she's being quiet, but she's making me chuckle. I wish we could pan over and show Kim. Kim, do you want to be on camera right now? No, she says. All right, we're going to go to a little bit of the darker purple now. And if you put something on you don't like, guess what? We can add water and kind of get rid of it. That's the beauty of this technique, is if we do something we're not quite thrilled about, or we want it watered down, or I want it darker, lighter, we just add more water or more ink. We're going to keep adding a little bit. And I might even pull up some of that pink that we used on our background. And you'll see a few spots I'm getting some pooling of the water. What I can do is take my paper towel and kind of blot that a little bit, and then I'll use the heat gun in just a second to make sure everything's nice and dry. And I should mention, before you commit to doing your purple right here, you want to make sure that that background is completely dry. So I use the heat gun, because you certainly don't want to combine more colors and end up with a color of mud, which is not a great color. So let me keep adding here. I'm going to stop the camera for a second, heat set this, and let's see if we like where we're at. If not, we'll add more. So I just used the heat gun, and you could tell a few of the areas, they're just kind of like wah, wah, kind of boring. They need a little bit more. So I'm going to use my palette, draw a little bit more ink, maybe brighten it up just a little bit in a few spots. So I'll be back in a second, because I think it needs a little bit more love. I'll be right back. Okay, so I kind of like how we ended up here. And to finish, you'll see on my sample card, I did a little bit of liquid pearls in the centers of all my flowers. And I used a silver. Today I'm using a color called Platinum. Boy, I can't read that with my glasses. I'm not really sure what that says. Platinum something. I'm so sorry. So we're going to finish the centers with that. And then this card's just about done, so stay tuned. I'll show you how I do that. So I've added the liquid pearls to almost all of the centers. I'll finish them. And liquid pearls I love because, unlike stickles, which has a little glitter effect, this has a pearl effect. So you can see I'm just adding a very small little drop to the center of each of these, and then I'll show you a trick. Now you could use real pearls if you want, or bling, or just leave it plain. Sometimes when you apply liquid pearls, then it almost has a little top on it like a Hershey Kiss, and sometimes that's not the look you're going for. So Lisa, the other Lisa that works here, showed me a technique. You actually take it and you'll flick it. I'm going to have to take it off camera here for a second. You want to just flick it from underneath, and what that does is round off all your tops, so it looks really nice and a nice finished look. So we have that done. I've already embossed the sentiment on this. It says, you mean the world to me. Let me show you the finished card one more time. Very simple. I just tied a simple knot and put some pop dots behind my oval layer. I hope you really like this card. It was simple, easy way to use distressed watercolors and some embossing. Hope you like it. Come see us at Photo Scraps. Bye-bye.